Hello everyone, my name is Renard, and this time on Basic Concepts of OOP in Java, we'll be teaching about encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? Encapsulation is like a capsule. The whole code and the data is bounded together into a single unit. It is the mechanism that binds together code and the data it manipulates. It's also a protective shield that prevents the data from being accessed by the code outside this shield. You can implement encapsulation using access modifiers. These are public, protected, and private. You can also implement getters and setters methods to modify and view the variable's values. You can imagine and see encapsulation is like this. Access modifiers controls how much of an object is visible to the rest of the Java program. So we see a public modifier can be visible and accessible through class package inside class global. But when we say protected, it can be accessed anywhere except for the global. So this public, protected, and private are actually keywords you put before you make an object. This default is actually called upon when you don't put any modifier before your object name. It is also visible to the class and packages. In private modifier, it is only accessible and visible to the class. Getter and setter is also known as an accessor and mutator in Java. It is used for retrieving and updating the value of a variable. So for example, we have a public class setter and getter. It has a private integer number and a method get number and a set number. So in this get number method, we have return number. So it just returns whatever is put inside the number object. So in set number, it takes a parameter integer and put this parameter inside the number. Now in the main class, we instantiate the setter and getter class and name it object. And then we put the object that number is equal to 10 and then int number is equal to object that number. Now when you say object that number is equal to 10, this actually shows an error in your IDE. The same as int number is equal to object that number. This will show an error because the number is actually set into private here. So the correct way to do this is to call the set number method and get the number method. So we set the number to 10 and then we make a new variable and call it num and put the get number, which is stored inside the number, into the num, and then we just print out the num. So it just shows like this. So it will output 10. So what are the advantages of using encapsulation? Data hiding. So the main concept of encapsulation is to just hide and secure sensitive data and information from the rest of the classes or the rest of the world. It makes the application easier to understand through the use of data hiding. It also simplifies the maintenance of the application. So it just makes your program more easier and cleaner to see and understand. Hello guys, now that you know what the basic concept of encapsulation is, let us make a new program, a simple program that uses encapsulation. So the IDE that I'm using right now is NetBeans. You can download it on their website. So the first thing we need to do is to make a new project. We just call this encapsulation. And now we have our main class here in our main method. So next thing we need to do is to make a new class and call it student. So in my student class, I will make an object. So in my student class, I will make an object that is a string first name. So just call it of name. a string last name, an integer age, and an integer student ID. So we have our objects here. So in encapsulation, the first thing you need to know about encapsulation is that our objects have to be a private object. So we'll just transform these objects into private. So like private string, private int, private int. So now we have our objects private. We will need to make a method. The next thing we need to do is to make a getter and setter methods. So in NetBeans, we have a shortcut that automatically just adds the getter and setter methods. So the shortcut is Alt and then Insert. If we click getter and setter, we just check these four and click generate. We have a get fname, set fname, get name, first name, get age, set age, get student ID, and set student ID. So in the get method, it just returns whatever variable stored inside the fname object. And in the set method, it just takes a parameter string and then stores this parameter inside the object that is name. So this is the same for all of these. Methods. And now we'll go back to the main class and then instantiate our student class, and we'll call it just student. Now that we have instantiated our student class, we can now set the variables to our private objects. So let's set the variable for first name. Let's just call the student class, and then we'll set fname into 1. And then we will do the same for these three. Right. So student set the name to the last is student dot set age to 18, student dot set student ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that we have set variables to our objects here, we can now retrieve or use the get method. So we'll use the sysout println to output whatever is stored inside these objects. So let's say first name, then plus student dot get first name. So what this does is just get what is stored inside the first name. So what is stored inside the first name is actually one that is used in the set method, and then it will return 1 here. And we will do this the same for all 3 of these objects. So this out, last name plus student dot get last name. This out again, age plus student dot get age. This is out student ID plus student dot get student ID. So what this does is output what is stored here. Now we will run this, and then the output is the same like what we did here. So that is all, everybody. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.